don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true.
Solihullradio.com.
That's right, you are listening to Solihull Radio. Welcome to the December edition of the Solihull BID Show. Joining me to chat all things Solihull and Solihull Town Centre is, of course, the director of the Solihull BID. Mel, good evening.
Good evening to you, Jeff. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you feeling Christmassy?
Very Christmassy. Not long to go
Not
now.
long, it isn't. And I tell you, lots of things have been happening over the last couple of weeks in the town centre. We are going to be talking about that and what you've been planning and how it's all been going. So you must let us know what's coming up. Let's just go back a tiny bit for the listener. What happened, towards the end of last month, we had a very, very big awards ceremony.
Yeah. The Solihull BID Excellence Awards was on the 22nd of November at the St John's Hotel, so it was fantastic. We had another sellout night. We had all our lovely, lovely winners and our sponsors, and we had a surprise visit from Robbie Williams.
Exactly, yeah. I must confess, I was actually in the room at the time, and it was incredibly good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
A really nice vibe.
Yeah.
Lots of people. All of the businesses in our, let's call it the 2 square miles of success.
Yes.
Excellent words. And we all just enjoyed the night and celebrated what was going on.
Yeah. It's all about the business community coming together. So our awards sets us apart from lots of other awards that may be a little bit more formal, because we just want this to be an awards for all and for everybody to feel included, which is why it's not black tie, which is why we subsidise the tickets, and which is why everybody from Saturday Girl in Topshop can apply alongside the chief exec of National Grid.
Wow.
So, it's about everybody coming together on the same playing field, really.
Right, and that was obviously towards the end of last month.
Yep.
Moving on into what we're going to be talking about tonight, and please do stay with us, because after we've finished speaking with Mel, we've got some amazing local business people having a chat about their journeys and what's going on for their particular companies in the 2 square miles of success, which is Solihull Town Centre. And you will be able to hear what's actually going on the ground. So if you are out there thinking, well, what's happening? What are my, what's happening in my local community, especially in the retail market as well? Because Mel, what happened? Black Friday became, to be honest, I didn't quite know when Black Friday was.
No,
really.
No.
What happened?
Well,
there?
I think Black Friday only ever really hit this sort of bricks and mortar retailers for a couple of years running, and the rest of it's gone online. So that's quite detrimental, really, to bringing footfall into our town centres. So I think on average the UK was down at around 4%, and I believe it's the lowest retail figures that we've had since the recession. So it is the lowest figures that have been sort of pinging back in onto the databases.
I've also noticed that I've been reading some statistics as well that sort of manufacturing and things like that in our area is down a little bit as well. So we are seeing a bit of a downturn now, especially as we're moving into the March end of what's actually going to happen.
Of course.
Over the last few weeks, we've also had the hoo-ha with the voting and things like that. So we don't quite know where we are. So it is all change, isn't it? And what we really want is footfall into our town centre.
We do. And I think the beauty of Solihull, so this is where we future-proof ourselves, if you will, is because we've got such amazing people here. We're always thinking ahead of the curve. So both shopping centres, Mel Square and Touchwood, are always thinking about what they can put in to bring people in. If it's not for the traditional retail offer, then we need to think about what's the experiential offer for people to come in. And both of those shopping centres and the local council are really sort of pro to look at different things for us to do. So. Yeah,
we've definitely got some different things happening as we come into, so what's it today? It's the 18th today. So as we move into this last little bit on the run up to the festives, obviously you've had the cinema in Mel Square. How's that been going?
That's been absolutely brilliant. So the Shoppers Haven has been really, really well attended. And what we were delighted with is that we put it out there so for people to come from all walks of life, from schools, from community groups. So we've had lots of schools come in with their pupils and people that may struggle to get to through accessibility reasons. They've been able to come to our cinema. But also there's just been a really lovely positive vibe that it's free. It's to come and enjoy yourselves. We've actually even got it warm.
Wow.
So our heater is working.
Excellent.
And we have little blankets and people have really appreciated that extra touch, I think. So it's been a fabulous couple of weeks,
Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on, and we'll start developing what's happening as we move into 2019, what the big plans could look like if you're allowed to say at this point. But let's have a little bit of music. Here's because it's our Christmassy bid show, if you've just joined us, we are on a Christmassy playlist here at Solihull Radio at the moment. So I don't need to introduce this. Hopefully you'll know it as soon as it starts playing, but I'll see you after this.
Last Christmas Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special, special. Once bitten and twice shy, I keep my distance, but you still catch my eye. Tell me, baby, do you recognize me? Well, it's been a year, it doesn't surprise me. Christmas, I wrapped it up and sent it with a note saying I love you, I meant it. Now I know what a fool I've been, but if you kissed me now, I know you'd fool me again. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special, special. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special, special. Oh, crowded room, friends with tired eyes, I'm hiding from you and your soul eyes. My God, I thought you were someone to rely on. Me, I guess I was a shoulder to cry on, a face on a lover with a fire in his heart, a man undercover, but you tore me apart. Ooh, now I found a real love, you'll never fool me again. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special, special. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave me away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special, special. Face on a lover with a fire in his heart, gave you my man undercover, but you tore him apart. Maybe next year, I'll give it to someone, I'll give it to someone special, special.
Solihull Radio.
Welcome back to our Solihull Radio BID Christmas special. We're joined by BID Director Melanie Palmer, and we're talking about all things Christmassy here in our 2 miles or 2 square miles of success, which we call Solihull Town Centre. Thanks for joining us. Right. From Monday the 10th, a week or so ago, we have been having the films effectively in your marquee, haven't we, in Mel Square?
Yeah.
So tell us all about what made you take the different tack this year from what we normally have. Maybe not last year, but a few years ago, it used to be like a Christmassy style market, lots of traders and things like that. So what made you change your thinking into bringing more people in?
I think the shift has been that we're constantly compared to Birmingham's German market.
Right.
So people are always saying, well, this isn't a German market. This isn't, it's not really what we've been looking for. But equally, I have to think about our traders that are here 365 days of the year, who are paying their rent and rates, etc., etc. So we listened to people, and the feedback was generally, well, because we can't really quite manage to do a great big full-blown German market. Let's not try and do that, and let's not actually block potential sales going into our main stores for 5 weeks.
I was going to say, because we've only got the high street space, haven't we, and round into the square.
And into Mill Lane. So we decided to not go ahead with that, but to instead think about enhancing the shoppers that come into the fabulous people that come into our town centres, our loyal shoppers. We thought, well, let's think of them and do something really great so that they haven't got to pay any extra charges, because we're all broke buying our stocking fillers.
That's right, yeah. Tell me.
So we thought, well, let's do something lovely for families and shoppers. So this is why we've got the free cinema. It's there until the 22nd of December, and you can literally come. There's 2 films a day. We've got a heater in there. We've got blankets. It's manned, so we have somebody on hand if you've got any queries.
Brilliant.
So that's what we've got going on, and the feedback has been amazing. So we've done that instead, but then we do have a festive feast for the last few days of Christmas.
On the run-up to the actual festive period. So what's that going to look like?
So this is food only.
Okay.
So we're not doing any craft or any sort of sales other than food.
Right.
My favourite subject.
Yeah, good call.
As you can tell.
Yeah. So they're coming in tomorrow, is it?
They'll be setting up tonight, and it will all start tomorrow.
Brilliant.
And it will be retail foods. It'll be cheeses and your jams and things like that to put in just the last minute stocking fillers or for your Christmas table. Mm-hmm. Bit of chutney to go with those cheeses.
Yeah, lovely job.
Or it's going to be hot food as well. So they're literally just here for 5 days, but right the way up to Christmas Eve. Yeah. And that's the other thing I wanted to try, is that wherever I've been before to look at Christmas markets, they end quite early, so they usually finish on around the 21st.
Right.
So I thought this would be nice to go right the way up to Christmas Eve and bring that sort of festive spirit into the...
Great idea. If you are listening in to this, tomorrow's films, and Mel, I'm not going to put you on the spot here and get you to try and remember what films are coming up, but from the 19th onwards, we've got Nativity at 12 o'clock and then Jingle All the Way at 4 o'clock. So if you are around over the next couple of days, we've got some lovely films going right up to the 22nd, finishing at 2:30 on the 22nd of December on Saturday afternoon. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, absolute classic.
It is a classic.
So, and it will just be a lot of fun being in the town centre, which is a concept that I have I've noticed more and more over the last sort of 3 or 4 months. Being in the town centre is not as much about the retail experience sometimes as about the leisure experience and meeting people.
Yes, you're right, Jeff. I think that's it. It's the heart of the community, and that's something that we have to hold precious to us.
Exactly. The people are coming in, and it becomes, let's meet for a coffee.
Yes.
Let's go and browse these particular shops, or let's go and see this shop person because we know them quite well now.
Yes.
And that sort of community sort of spirit and it really, it's something that I've noticed over the last couple of months.
And I don't think you do get a sense of that if you go into the larger cities and Birmingham and other places that we've been to. So I do think our sense of community is really our strength here in Solihull. Touchwood are doing some amazing things, and Mel Square are doing some gift wrapping for charity. So there's all sorts of things going on for people to enjoy when they come in.
Excellent stuff. When we come back after some more Christmas music, because we are on a Christmas music.
There's no mince pies here.
No,
by the
there
way.
Isn't. We'll sort those out. We are on a Christmas music journey now from Solihull Radio on the festives. If, by the way, if you wanted just to have some Christmas music on in the background over your festive period, why do you not just tune into Solihull Radio? Because when we are not live on air, we will just be playing Christmas songs. So you can have it.
What more could you want?
There you go. In the background music for when you're opening presents or preparing the food or just having some family time. And
it's a great idea.
We've got it there now.
Yeah.
So when we're not live on air, we will just be having a Christmas music playlist, which is quite extensive now, I must say. Here's some Michael Bublé for you. Hopefully you'll enjoy this, because it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10. It's glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes that glow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Barney and Ben. Dolls that'll talk and will go for a walk is the hope of Janice and Jen. And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. There's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well. It's the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that'll make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your heart. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. Sure, it's Christmas once more.
You're listening to Solihull Radio.
That's right, you are listening to Solihull Radio. Welcome back. That was a lovely piece of music, Michael Bublé. We at Solihull Radio and all of the team here in the central Solihull area wish you a very Merry Christmas, and hopefully you're getting ready for the festive period. We're 18th now, so a couple of weeks and we'll all be thinking about the New Year parties.
Yes.
And starting 2019. Where's 2019 going to take Solihull? Mel, what's happening? What's on the cards? You've obviously got a hotline into lots of things from the retailers,
straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. So what's happening in 2019? What should we look forward to?
I think we need to. It's going to be a challenging year for everybody, isn't it? 2019 with what's around the corner, the B word, and but I think Solihull will just see that it becomes stronger. I think we're going to do lots more community events. We're still going to be driving footfall into the town centre by the things that we do. So, for instance, we're doing a big BID Expo as well for businesses, for our office sector, because, of course, there's a fantastic over 50% of the businesses in this 2 square miles are made up of office and professional services. So we're going to be celebrating them at a BID Business Expo at the Crown Plaza. That'll be in March. We've also got a big fashion event coming along, Style Central, and Style Weekender. And we've also got a wedding event, which is lovingly called Love is in the Square.
Oh, that's very clever.
It's going to be in Mel Square.
That's very clever.
Yeah, so we've got things like that going on. But they're all about, it's not so much about the shops selling on that day. It's all about raising the awareness of the offer that we've got and the experts that we've got in store. So again, it's about that uniqueness of Solihull. We have really strong experts that are working in our shops that can really advise you that you probably wouldn't find in many other places.
Let's talk about sort of almost the other end of the spectrum, because we've got Mel Square, we've got Touchwood, two large retail sort of centres, but we've also got some very experienced independent stores, haven't we?
Oh yeah, absolutely brilliant.
What's happening independently? Lives is up online and developing. What's happening over in Drury? Is it Drury Arcade?
Yes, yeah, Drury Arcade.
What's happening down there?
There's a real strength of a really fantastic independents and boutiques down there. And again, this is all about their loyalty of their customers is what's been their strength, and that's what's kept them going for the past 25, 30 years. And once people go to a shop or a retail unit and they find that somebody actually cares about looking for the right piece of clothing or the right shoe or the right hat or the right handbag, once they understand that somebody cares, I think builds that lovely, wonderful loyalty, and that's what our independents do really, really brilliantly. And that's why they've survived. I mean, it's challenging times, but that's what's keeping them ahead of the game.
If you've just joined us, we're speaking to Melanie Palmer. She's the director of the Solihull BID, the Business Improvement District. So we're looking at how we can improve the experience for shoppers, for people that work in the 2 square miles here in Solihull Town Centre. Obviously, you might know that Mel is behind, or Mel and her team are behind lots of the events that we have here in Solihull Town Centre throughout the year. So obviously you plan for those.
Yeah.
We're halfway through the Christmas big events. In a couple of days' time, we've got the festive fair, effectively, which is the food thing. If you've just joined us, we've been chatting about that. We've still got 4 days left of the cinema. Exactly. In Mel Square, so you can get down there. That's completely free.
It is.
So if you've got some time and you just want to be in Solihull Town Centre, why don't you come and watch a lovely Christmas movie? So moving on into 2019, we've discussed where we think Solihull's going to be. We've got quite a turbulent year coming.
We have.
Touchwood are developing the new community sort of focused projects and things like that, getting more people into
really great.
Into Touchwood and being part of, effectively it's just a building, but we need people in it, don't we?
Of course, yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is how do you get that balance with your team of developing that community link and also, being part of what's going on with the offices and the professional people? Just 'cause you've got people on the streets as wardens, effectively. I've forgotten what you call them now.
Town hosts.
Town hosts, sorry. And you're supporting people, but you've got an incredible job to do to balance all of that, haven't you?
It is a juggling act, I would say, but the strength here is about the communication. So because we do have the hosts going out to businesses every day, our hosts do 15,000 business visits every year. So that's how many, that literally is an accurate picture, because they report every visit, goes onto a handheld device, which then is logged back at our offices as a live action. So we know where they are. No,
not checking up.
no, but in all seriousness, that we do know exactly what's happening, and that allows us the absolute benefits of being able to monitor where we're going with all of our projects, and whether businesses are happy or unhappy. Do we modify our approach? And if so, in what way? We've just completed a survey, so we've had about 150 surveys back from people to let us know what they think, and they love the hosts. So the hosts are coming out as top again.
Excellent.
I hope they're not hearing this.
What's happening with the, as we move into the Christmas period, what's happening with the nighttime? Do you still have your night times?
We've still got evening guardians. So the evening guardians have been really, really well received by both the public and also the publicans, the licensees, and the police as well. So they're working really closely with the police and the licensing team too. So I think they've just been such a great addition to the offer for the evening economy, and so they're not going anywhere. We're keeping them.
Brilliant idea. Right, a little bit more Christmassy music, and then we'll finish our discussions with Mel on the first section of this bid show, our Christmas bid show. And then when we come back, you'll hear from two amazing local business people that are going to give us their sort of spotlight on their journey and how they've developed in Solihull over the years. They've been here for a great number of years, both of them. They've seen Solihull change, well, I'll ask them exactly what they think is going to happen to Solihull over the next few years so that we can maybe get a bit of a heads up. Here's a bit of Elton John, and he is stepping into Christmas.
Welcome to my Christmas song. I'd like to thank you for the year. So I'm sending you this Christmas card to say it's nice to have you
Right, just to finish then, talking to Melanie Palmer, the director of the Solihull BID, we have been chatting, if you've just joined us, all about things Christmassy, what's happening in the town centre over the Christmas and festive periods. But moving forwards, what's something that you've got that you'd like to either ask for some help with, or give us some information with, or anything like that?
Well, just quickly to say that we have got Google coming in to us for so they're bringing their bus in for our expo. So anybody who wants to come and talk about search engine optimization for their own business or how to raise their brand, they can come and jump on the Google bus. So that'll be fab. We've also got Lego coming in at Easter for big kids and little kids. And then the thing I'd love some help with, Jeff, would be if anybody's got footage of old vintage Solihull of yesteryear Solihull. We're going to do an exhibition in the summer, and we're looking for video footage. We're looking for really old photos of Solihull as it was. I remember it all the way through the different fountains in Mel Square. So if anybody who knows what I'm talking about,
I'm afraid I'm not one of those. No. Sorry about that.
And when people could drive around Mel Square, so anybody who's got footage, photographs, we'd love them to get in touch. And even if they want us to come out and interview them, we're happy to do that as well. If they want to come and tell us some stories about Solihull past.
Well, we could be involved in doing
we'd
some of that.
Yeah, we'd love you guys to be involved in that.
Yeah, we can record those. Right, so thank you very much for your part of the BID show on the run-up to Christmas. I wish you a very happy Christmas.
I wish that to you too.
And a really positive 2019.
Yes.
Because you do a fantastic job here in the 2 square miles.
Yeah.
Straight after this piece of music, we will be hearing from one of our fantastic 2 local business people about their stories in Solihull. So we'll see you mid to late January, and we'll have an update on how all of the festives have been for Central Solihull.
Yes, that sounds fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does it turn upon his sleigh? Do the
That's right, you are listening to Solihull Radio, and this is the BID Show, and the special festive edition of the BID Show, as we're coming up to the festive period. I hope that's all going well for you. Right, sitting in front of me for this featured content podcast for the local businesses around Solihull is an amazing, very busy man. His name is Kevin Johns. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He's the Managing Director of Prime Chartered Accountants, which is the accountancy firm just on the roundabout as you come into the main area of Solihull. And Kevin, good evening. Thank you very much for coming and giving some time into Solihull Radio today. So we appreciate that. As part of the featured content podcast for the BID Show, you hold many hats, don't you, in the business community around Solihull? Could I go through them, or would you like to tell everybody about your different roles?
I'm quite happy to fill everybody in on my roles. Obviously, as you've already said, I'm Managing Director of the Prime Accountants Group. The location we like to know as Prime Island.
Oh, is that what you call it?
That's how we like to call it. I'm also Chairman of Solihull BID.
Right.
So I help Mel and the team there with the board there, help shape the town centre. I'm now 18 months into my presidency of the Solihull Chamber of Commerce, which I will hand over to my Vice President in March next year.
Right.
And also Chairman of the St Helens Mini and Juniors Rugby section.
So you are an incredibly busy man, not only in the business community, but also bringing the new talent through into our rugby players.
Yeah, on a Sunday morning, seeing the kids run around the pitches when it's not too cold, I have to say.
Yeah.
It's great fun. It's also a break from work in that sense.
Sure.
So coaching on a Sunday morning, and obviously then putting a bit back to make sure the club runs successfully.
Okay.
Part of what we do.
So you've got lots of different roles within our local community, and we're going to talk about those roles as we go through this this interview. But let's start with what you did. How did you get into either managing money or managing wealth, or tell me a little bit about your journey, if you will.
Well, I did a statistics and business degree at university. And when I was there, I was always adamant I wasn't going to train as an accountant because I'd had enough of education and I just wanted to get on and do something in life. My father, who was a deputy headmaster, kept on saying, you need to train as a chartered accountant, you'd be good at that. And I was adamant I wouldn't. Final year at university, I went, what do I need to do? And I got that realisation that you never stop learning. And to move on, the university degree was only really an entry into work. So then I said, what leaves my options open for longest? They said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do something in business, and I'm pretty good with numbers. So I trained as a chartered accountant in Milton Keynes with a top 20 firm, and then moved up to the Midlands because my wife was working for Land Rover.
Oh, right.
Moved up here. We were getting married 25 years ago, and joined a firm in Coventry at the time called Pilly & Florsham. And really, it was, I just wanted to be involved in business, shape the future, be in control of my own destiny in a way, and understood business from my qualifications. And it's about getting to know people and advising them on not just the business aspect, but where they want to go in their life and their family and what their personal goals are. And trying to match those was important to me, not just for clients, but also for myself. And then 11 years ago, we made the brave decision to merge Pilly & Florsham with Raftery & Co. here in Solihull.
Wow.
And against all the advice we had...
I was going to say, there's branding there. How did that move about?
Well, there was a lot of mergers in the industry going on and everybody linking words together and making it even more and more complicated. And we thought, well, none of these words really work for web addresses, email addresses,
very clever.
All
very
that
clever.
sort of idea. So we went, let's go for something simple, something which... Prime is, quality brand, a name, really. Even Amazon picked it up eventually after
That's
us.
right, yeah. And of course, linked to numbers.
Absolutely.
Very clever.
So we did that. The brand agencies we were talking with would say we were a bit foolish. 50 years of history going out the door. But we felt it was more about relationships. If we got relationships with our clients, they don't really care what the name says, and it's working off that.
I understand exactly what you're saying. It is about the sort of bespoke relationship that you can create with a client, isn't it? And that's what business is.
Absolutely, and that's why I say it's about understanding people. We can all train to produce a set of accounts, but how you interact and interpret those accounts and the value add to that is really the key. And that's the interesting part. People say to me, well, accountancy is boring. You're grey. It's men in grey suits. But come and spend a day with me talking to my clients. You'll realise that's not what we're doing.
I've done a little bit of research before I spoke with you, and the sort of different elements that Prime offer are very wide. Is a really wide spread. Just off the top of my head, you've got bookkeeping, you've got tax, you've got payroll, you've got something that I want to ask you a little bit more about, and that's something called forensic accountancy. How does is that really? I'm thinking, NCIS sort of style. You go in and you find where the money's gone.
It can be, absolutely. There's a number of parts of forensic accounting. One is fraud.
Right.
So, false accounting. So it could be that, somebody in a company has taken something, or they've falsified accounts. You're hearing it now on certain public companies where people have been arrested in relation to false claims on a particular high street cafe, coffee shop.
And to the full force of the law.
Absolutely.
Be them,
So, the police there and the fraud squads need forensic accountants to go in and investigate to see actually what were the transactions and was it legitimately or not. That's the exciting side, but as you say, NCS, it's not all exciting.
Yeah.
Lots of it's just company valuations. A lot of matrimonial disputes. Shareholders disputes. So again, it's arguing about valuations. Where maybe somebody sold a business and it was supposed to be X, but
it turns out,
it wasn't there. So there's an investigation around there.
Okay.
So we do quite a bit of that now. And
sorry to interrupt you. You're very highly regulated.
Absolutely.
And so as you should be, because it's the wealth of not only your business, it's everyone else and your clients and things like that. IFAs nowadays are so within the boundaries. They can be penalised if they give the wrong advice.
Absolutely, and so rightly so.
Yeah.
People trust the accountancy profession and the IFA profession with their assets.
Sure.
And I'll quite often say I know more about my clients' financial affairs than they do. Now, the trust has to be the first and foremost, and that quality mark of being a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. That's what underpins everything we do. And if we can't allow that to be tarnished by any firm in that sense, and the same in the IFA market for our wealth management team. Our clients trust us. We are that trusted advisor. We did some work with Microsoft many years ago about how do they get to the trusted advisor situation, which we as a profession have, and we'll never want to lose that.
Your mantra, not mantra, but your sort of mission in some ways at Prime, from my research, is listen, advise and prosper. So we've already covered the listen aspect. We know that your advice is heavily regulated, but it comes from, in your case, over 25 years experience in the industry. And are you seeing lots of things prosper now from either your clients, or can we take it into a wider area within the Solihull Borough? Are you seeing that prosperity coming back? Are we bucking the trend nationally in Solihull, for instance, or how do you see it? What's your overview?
In our opinion, Solihull is leading the way. It is successful. It's I've always been a strong believer. If you want to make your area strong, I've got no problem with us being part of the Greater Birmingham Combined Authority or anything else, because our voice, we talk sense. We've got quality people with quality businesses in this area, and as a result, people will listen to it. Quality people will listen, and it's a larger, more stronger voice than when we're talking down at Westminster or if we're talking globally.
Yep.
Solihull can't have a global reach, but within the combined authority, we can have a large influence on what that reach is going to become.
Okay.
And I've always said, as president of Solihull Chamber, I go and talk with the other presidents in the Greater Birmingham region. And they look at Solihull as a beacon, as how it should be done. We are very successful as a region. You look at the assets we've got here in the region with the airport, the NEC, JLR, Touchwood. and now Resorts Worlds and everything else.
That's
You know,
right.
they're regionally, they are some of the best assets around, and that breeds success as well. So other businesses come here. Gymshark have just moved on to Blythe Valley, for instance.
Yeah.
A fantastic addition to the borough. So
Okay, we'll take a very quick break. We'll have a bit of music, but we'll come back, and I'd like to sort of develop those points in your role with the Chamber and what you're doing with the bid. But we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Solihull Radio.
That's right, my name's Jeff. This is the BID Show, coming up to the festive period, and we are very lucky to have Kevin Johns, the Managing Director of Prime Chartered Accountants on Prime Island, which is just on the way up to central Solihull, and we are talking all things financial and how the sort of what the sort of atmosphere is like business-wise in central Solihull. Just before that track, Mr. Blue Sky Electric Light Orchestra, the famous version, we were chatting about how businesses and the sort of atmosphere and how things are developing in Solihull, and I just want to come back to that, if that's okay, Kevin. Where do you feel? Give me your 5-year prediction to what's happening as we develop, you know, things like Sprint, the connections over to, like you said, Resorts World and the NEC. How is Solihull going to either benefit from that, or you know, in terms of the businesses and the footfall, and how's it going to work? What's your predictions?
Well, what I hope is going to happen is we're going to see better connectivity for people to move between the different zones within the borough.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have struggled, like most places have. The connectivity in the UK always is like the spokes of a wheel. It all goes straight into the centre, into Birmingham in our situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to go between the spokes without going in and out. So, you know, I know students at the college struggle to get to Resorts World or NEC to do work because there's no public transport coming back late at night. So those connections need to happen. So, you know, moving from Shirley into Solihull into the Resorts World into Chelmsley Wood.
It's only like 6 miles or so, isn't it?
But
it's
quicker to get to Birmingham, or it's quicker to get to Warwick or something on a train.
It's a 7-minute train ride straight into the town, isn't it?
So that connectivity between the zones, I know the council are working a lot on to try and make sure we can move around. I know we're using digital more and more, but the personal touch, you can't serve somebody a meal over the phone. You've got to get there.
Yeah.
So
from my point of view, I only recently moved to Solihull. Maybe 2013, and I've seen a massive change. Firstly, I've seen a massive change in the amount of cars and the rush hour and the situation moving around central Solihull. That has exponentially grown, hasn't it? It's going to take you half an hour to get from one side of Solihull to the other in rush hours now.
It is, and it's going to get worse while they build HS2 on the M42. That's going to displace more traffic into the area. We've got to look at working smarter. We've got to work differently. You know, work with more flexible hours.
Yeah, I agree.
More remote working. We've introduced flexible working in our offices, where people can start work any time after 6 a.m.
Wow!
So they can miss the traffic, and they can work up till 8 p.m. And they can, so they don't
miss
have
it
to.
Again.
They don't have to work travel during rush hours at all. You know, congestion is a measure of success in my way. I can't mention a city in the world which is successful which hasn't got congestion problems. So, you know, let's not fight it. Let's just work on working smarter, find ways to work around it, make our lifestyle slightly different. We don't have to travel the same time as the schools go.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
The school run is one of the things, because we have such excellent schools in central Solihull.
Absolutely.
Of course, we get a lot of people moving in to access those particular schools. So we're seeing that happen daily.
Exactly, and we should encourage excellent schools because those are the business leaders of the future. We've got to invest in our children and education all the way through, and continue invest in education in the workplace.
Now, you are president of the Solihull Chamber of Commerce. Tell me a little bit about the umbrella sort of function of the chamber and the sort of support that's offered.
The chamber is there, as I see it, as a voice of business, particularly the SME market. The JLRs of the world, you know, they've got a direct line straight into 10 Downing Street if they want it. Prime doesn't. You know, Solihull Radio doesn't.
No.
However, as a organisation which is trusted again, under the umbrella of the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, that's 3,000 voices. If 3,000 businesses are saying the same thing, people stop and listen. So I remember when I joined the chamber, you know, on the exec board 10 years ago, I was quite vocal saying people don't listen. And then I started realising people don't speak. was a problem.
Right.
Nobody raised that. There's quarterly economic surveys which we ask businesses. We just want more voices, more reports coming in, and that will give a stronger voice and people will listen more. So that's one part of it. The other one is to support with their growth hub. They can support businesses to grow, and also to network with each other. So there's 3 elements really from that point of view.
Since developing the radio station, I seem to be networking with as many people as I possibly can, obviously, to get the name of the radio out. And with the support of, is it quite a small team here in Solihull?
Yeah, and we're very lucky. We've got a very enthusiastic team here in Solihull with Lillian, Ed and Sam, who run the team. They're at every event locally.
Yeah.
Anybody want any support, just give them a ring.
Yeah.
Find their details on my website. They're always willing to help.
And what I've found from hooking up with Lillian and Sam and Ed is if they don't know, they know somebody that does.
And that's the great thing as well. I go back to that thing of being a part of a bigger organisation. The team in Birmingham, the policy teams, they'll tell you anything about congestion or the clean air zone now coming into Birmingham.
That's right. Yeah, that's coming up.
That information is all there. Just ask.
Right. Okay. Moving on then, because that brings us into the umbrella of the sort of business side of things from the chamber point of view. And forgive me, are you moving? You're ending your presidency of the chamber, or is that something?
It's a 2-year term.
Two-year term.
Yeah. So I'll ultimately stand down at the AGM in beginning of March.
Okay.
I'm very happy with Robert Elliott from Hogarth's Hotel. Will be taking
excellent
over
stuff.
From that point
Right. And then that'll continue on. And they're based over in the Solihull College, from memory.
That's right.
So people can always go and visit Lillian and her team.
And it's important they're based at the college because that link with education, I think, is key with those new people coming through.
Like you said, they're the ones that are going to be developing the businesses as we move forward, isn't it?
Absolutely,
the college people.
And as business, we need to work differently. These people who are coming through college now, they're instant messaging. They're not emailing.
No.
Everything's instant. The way the work world is changing rapidly.
The world of work is definitely changing. It's going to that sort of gig economy, I feel. You're not finishing university and moving into a one-stop career to a pension anymore. In 30 years, what a pension's going to be worth? Are we still going to be using the pension scheme, for instance? Is money going? I know you haven't got the answers, Kevin, but I can't see. My daughter, she's 3 years old. Is she ever going to need to learn to drive a car?
Oh, absolutely. But even you mentioned money. I always carry cash in me. I go to anywhere. I've always got some money on me.
Yep.
I've always got some on me. But I've got directors who are 10 years younger than me.
Yep.
Never carry cash.
No,
They've just got it on their smartphone.
Yeah.
Apple Pay. That's how they go. So if they go to an event, like we've got the BID Awards, etc. Raffle prizes, they've got no cash. So people have to carry around credit card machines now.
So last month at the BID Awards, you're thinking, so when was that? That was towards the end of November. So you're thinking, there's no cash to buy the drinks at the bar or anything. You just swipe your phone.
Yep, that's exactly what they do. And when that doesn't work, it's, panic.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're in trouble again, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Right, so taking that to the next level then, let's bring it down into what's happening in the 2 square miles, I call it, of Solihull Town Centre. 400 or so businesses within this zone, and you're also the chairman of the committee that manage what we know as Solihull BID, the Business Improvement District. So how, with that hat on, Kevin, if I could ask you, what's your role there? What do you oversee? How do you steer that committee to generate the prosperity and the difference and the change in Solihull Town Centre?
Again, the Business Improvement District is an ability for businesses to try and put on extra events, extra activity to improve the town centre for their workforce.
To improve the experience?
Really the experience, but it could be different events, it could be different signage, but it's to make Solihull Town Centre a nicer, better place to work and enjoy. It's not just work. And in doing that, there's lots of strands to it. So, example, the townhouse. They're there to make you feel more comfortable, more knowledgeable, so support, but also crime reduction, working with the retail outlets and everything else. So that's just one area. Evening Guardians now for the nighttime economy.
They've been exceptionally
absolutely
successful.
We know there's resources issues in lots of public areas now with the police and the council. There's cuts everywhere.
Yeah.
So as businesses, we can either just moan again, or we can do something about it. So the bid is again an ability where businesses can work together collaboratively to actually do something about that and improve the area for us.
And of course, as we're coming up to the festives now, you guys have got the cinema, you've got the food areas and things like that happening in central Solihull in the Mel Square zone. So you're bringing those people in to have I call it the shopping experience, but we tend not to go walking around with shopping bags anymore, do we? Because the sort of experience in the town centre is changing.
And I think that's it. Shopping has changed, and we're all guilty of that. We're seeing shops close all the time, retail failures. And we're the ones who are causing it as customers. We're now buying on the internet, I'm no different to anybody else.
And I'm the same.
Absolutely. So the retail, the town centre experience needs to become an experience.
How do we change that? How do we develop the independence to come in and give the experience that somebody can have a retail thing, or they can have a food and leisure thing? We've got food courts effectively in Touchwood, haven't we?
Yes.
And entertainment courts. So they could go to the cinema, they can have a meal, they can go and see a show, but why are they not coming into an independent trader and buying cheeses, specialist meats? Or do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get it. I think what we need to do, it needs to be more than just a shop. They need to be interlinked. There needs to be a path where people go past one area to get to another. Town centre planning always used to be your key stores in different areas. So if you looked here now, you had Marks and Spencer's at one point, House of Fraser or Beatty's of the old days. If you just looked at Mel Square as a thing, and there was a corner.
And you had to. There was movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're not quite seeing that redesign of a town centre yet. You've got Touchwood's zone, like the retail zone. The food zone is all together.
Yeah.
So there's not an encouragement to move from there to go and buy cheese on the high street.
I agree with you.
That's a master plan change. There are conversations going on. The BID are part of those conversations. How do we make the town centre of the future? We've got closed shops. We know that, but we are bucking the trend compared to nationally.
Yep.
Our town centre is still...
It's hanging on in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it is going to have to change, But we've got to look at Touchwood, Mel Square, the council, working together to change that experience. We need more lifestyle experiences in the town centre, not just shopping experiences, to drag people in here.
I understand. If you've got any comments or questions that you would like to put to Kevin and his team, either the BID or if you want a business question that we could put through to Lillian and the Chamber, Solihull Chamber, why don't you get in touch with us here at Solihull Radio? It's studio@solihullradio.com. You can always text in 075 64 30 30 64. And what we'll do is we'll put those questions to the key decision makers for you. And if you want that information quickly, get in touch and use the radio station, because we can, like I say, we can move these questions to these guys very quickly. And in the great scheme of things, Kevin, Prime is Prime. It's doing incredibly well. You've got an amazing location over there. You've had some acquisitions recently. You are developing the business. You've obviously got a very good, cunning business plan, and congratulations on that, because that's 25 years effectively of
Thank you very
positivity. I can kind of see where you're going with the town centre, and I absolute maximum respect to you for leading and being the chair of these committees that just sort of overseeing what's going on in the town centre. What's coming up? What's next? Obviously, we've got the festives. Do you happen to know of anything under the radar that we don't know about yet? Is there anything moving forwards?
There will be some more festivals and events next year. We actually had a meeting.
Mel and her team.
Yeah, Mel and her team are constantly looking at different things. The programme will be out in the new year.
Good.
So I don't want to spoil the surprises on radio here today. I'm sure Mel will allow everybody to know in due course.
Don't worry, we'll get the information, listener. Don't worry about that. Right. Thank you very much for joining us here. We appreciate your time, especially at the radio, and I know you're an incredibly busy man. Wish you a very happy Christmas and happy festives. A couple of days' time. Are you in, or are you out or around, or are you
in for Christmas and then off skiing on Boxing Day?
Lovely.
I'll enjoy my break.
Oh, excellent stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to download this podcast and listen back again to Kevin's views on the Solihull Town Centre and the state of affairs with the business community, do so at our Podbean website. You can always click on demand at solihullradio.com, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Solihullradio.com.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. I sat on the roof, kicked out the moss. Well, a few of the verses, well, they've got me quite cross, but the sun's been quite kind while I wrote this song. It's for people like you that keep it turned on. So excuse me for getting, but these things I do, you see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue. Anyway, the thing is, what I really mean, yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind what I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world.
Thank you very much for clicking in with us here on Solihull Radio. We appreciate you clicking into Solihull Radio. And for the BID Show here in December, we are joined live in the studio by a fantastic lady that's just walked across the road to see us today. And it's Susie Ankrit. Susie is the Director of Plum Personnel and the office is over in the Warwick Road. Good evening, Susie. How are you?
Good evening, and thank you very much indeed for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
No problems at all. Listen, I really do appreciate your time. I know time for professionals is incredibly valuable, so I appreciate you giving some time. Yeah. Right, tell me a little bit about Plum Personnel and tell me about your journey, because as part of the BID Show, we like to understand what's happening in our 2 square miles.
Yes.
So when did Plum Personnel start for you and how did it begin?
Well, in 2000, I took voluntary redundancy from the Solihull College, where I'd been a lecturer for 20 years. And I actually met somebody, and she said to me, you'd be good in recruitment. And I really didn't know what recruitment was about. I'd recruited people, but the industry, I didn't have any ideas. So my best friend actually had worked in recruitment, and we started talking, and we decided that actually we could open a business ourselves. Now, looking back, I have to say there must have been a huge dollop of naivety there. But with my background in management, we actually put together a really sound business plan. And when we did, we looked at the competitors, and for example, there were 16 recruitment consultancies in Solihull Town Centre. So in April 2001, we opened our doors without any clients, without any candidates. I'd never worked in recruitment, and neither of us had run a business before. So what did we share? An absolute passion for getting it right, because one of the historical trends within recruitment was that it was very transactional, and that really it's all about people, and we wanted to really hone in on the people aspect of it and create a really customer service focused service, which would be different to the sales orientated recruitment at that time.
Now, can you think back, and I know it may be tricky because I find things like this tricky. Can you think back? You opened your door in April.
Yes.
Now, what was the first client that came through to say, have you got an administrator or have you got and you thought, this is it, we're off?
Well, we were really lucky because we took over offices that had previously been Solihull Staff Agency, and they'd been there for 20 years, and we took over their telephone number.
Ooh.
So one day a local property developer actually called us and asked us to supply for people, and that's how it was then. People used to ring up and ask for people, and we were then looking for the people who would be the perfect match for them. But we couldn't just rely on the telephone number and past clients. We had to go out there. So it was hugely, there was just loads of enthusiasm that we just felt, gosh, we've got so much to offer local companies that we just picked up the phone, introduced ourselves, got ourselves in front of them, and within the first 12 months, we were working with PricewaterhouseCoopers, Vodafone, and really big names. And I think part of the attraction to us was because it was a fresh approach.
And you had a bespoke approach that you brought into that particular niche in that community.
Very much so.
And then suddenly you're away, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Was there ever that time where you didn't have the candidates that the clients were looking for and you were sort of scrabbling around, or did it all happen?
Of course that happened, but we quickly started advertising and spreading the word, and the candidates came to us. So that was really good. But thinking about the changes, we used to have 2 centimetre column in the Birmingham Mail for our adverts.
Wow.
And we used to have to scramble everything in. So tell no. So
tell no.
Yes.
That's
So
right.
everything was abbreviated to get the biggest message over.
And this is almost early days of the internet, isn't it, as well? So
Totally.
it wasn't happening.
Totally.
Then.
We both had computers, and I don't think were we attached to the internet at that time? We must have been for emails.
Yeah.
But CVs were paper based.
Sure.
And we didn't have an electronic CRM, customer relationship management system. We just had cards, and we used to have to go through those, flick through
and
those
then go
cards,
to a filing cabinet and find the CV.
Find the CV and the registration form.
Wow.
So, but of course, we didn't have the balance of candidates and clients, and you never do. You never do, whatever the marketplace is.
And then let's move. I don't want to move on too quickly, but those first few years when you were establishing yourself with the main players, the Vodafones, the PwC, and those sort of guys, and then suddenly you thought, yep, we're in, we've managed it. There's another 16 recruitment companies around us within a square mile. But then what happened, moving into, let's imagine, 2006, 2007, maybe, because at 2008, it fell.
Oh, it absolutely fell. I remember we just kept on building on our success, and we started building the team, and we needed to move premises in 2004 because we needed more space.
So before we go, so you started in
Poplar Road.
Poplar Road.
Yes.
So that's just down by the bus stops now, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we watched the Queen open Touchwood in 2001, 2002.
Wow.
And then we got, we needed more space. So we moved, and it took us 18 months to actually find proper premises that were going to be good for the future. And we moved into 699 Warwick Road, which is absolutely brilliant position, and we love it there. And we grew the team, and we had great clients on board. We were accessible to people who live in Solihull, people who live in Birmingham, Coventry and Warwickshire, who would come and register with us, because it was really important to have everybody meet face to face. And in April 2008, I remember having a team meeting and saying, do you know, they're talking about a credit crunch. It doesn't feel like that, because jobs were coming in. We had people to place. And then in October of that year, it was the birds stopped singing, the tap was turned off, and the light switch went off at the same time. We were actually checking our telephones to find out why they weren't ringing. It was just overnight. It was awful. And we then thought, well, perhaps it may be coming to the end of the year. It will pick up in January, because we hadn't experienced anything like this before. By January, it was absolutely clear that this was not going to be a short-term event. It was going for the long term. And Julie and I had to make some heart-wrenching decisions to let go a team of, by then it was 9-10 people, and say goodbye to them. And we battened down the hatches and retained our administrator, who's still with us today.
Fantastic.
And we worked through the recession. We just had a few clients who we were able to work with, but were really positive people, and at that time the NHS were coming out to tender for work, and the one thing we did have was time. So we devoted that time to putting the tender together for our work with non-medical, non-clinical people within the NHS. And I have to say, we thought that was going to be our saviour. That's another story. It didn't quite work out as we anticipated, because the NHS, whilst they approved us, which was a great accolade, they had their preferred people that they worked with, and it took us 3 years to crack the NHS and start working with them. Am I going too quickly?
No, this is good. See, what I'm enjoying, just almost visualize. You're telling a fantastic story. This is exactly in terms of the Solihull BID and what's going on in Solihull. These are the journeys that I'd like to learn about because I'm starting that journey.
Right.
And B, this is exactly what we want to hear because you've been trading effectively since 2001, 2002, and you've got fantastic clients and candidates and things like that. So this is a model that I would like to emulate.
Okay.
So you continue.
Right. Okay. So just going back a little bit, when 2009, 2010, we actually brought back one of the consultants that had to leave, and we started to grow again. People were starting, or businesses were starting to get a little bit more confident, and we had lots of people because there'd been loads of redundancies, and we
candidates,
yes, lots, absolutely, and we started to grow again, and I think Julie Whitehouse, my business partner, we've just got this absolute belief of what we're doing is going to be the right thing to do. But we do think about it. We've always had business plans every single year. We always have our 90 days. What are we going to achieve? What are we going to achieve over the year? What have we achieved? Let's look back. What went right? What went wrong? And we've done that from the very first year when there was, quite frankly, very little to look back on, but the process has been really important. So with the NHS, going back to that, the NHS trusts were working with about 15 recruitment consultancies in the local area, and they didn't want to add to that or take anybody off. But I kept in touch with the main people, and after 3 years they granted me an audience and let us through the door to start working with them. And when we joined, we were number 16, 17 on the list of recruitment consultancies, and within 3 years there were only 3 recruitment consultancies on there, and we were one of them.
There you go.
And that was such a real sense of pride in being able to do that. And then we re-tendered, and our reputation spread, and that's been a really good organisation to work with.
Sure.
But going back to your point about running a business, never let one client represent more than 20% of your turnover. Because,
that's right. I've heard of that.
Absolutely. Because if you've always got to have that mentality, my best client could fall off the cliff tomorrow.
Exactly. All right. If you've just joined us here on the BID Show this Tuesday evening, we have Susie Ancret in the studio live here telling us about her journey and her story of running Plum Personnel, which is over there in the Warwick Road, within our 2 square miles. Now, Susie has chosen some songs for this evening, and the first one is very apt indeed, because we are going to talk about the way jobs and careers are changing as we come back after this piece of music. But of course, it's 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton.
Out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind. Want to move ahead, but the step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams he'll never take away. In the same boat with a lot of your friends, waiting for the day your ship will come in and the tide's gonna turn and it's all gonna roll your way. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and you never get the credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life, and you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game, no matter what they call it. And you spend your life putting money in his wallet. 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life, and you dream about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game, no matter what they call it. And you spend your life putting money in his wallet. 9 to 5, working 9 to 5, just working 9 to 5.
Solihullradio.com.
That's right. Welcome back to the BID Show. And this evening we are very lucky to have in the studio live with us Susie Ankrit from Plum Personnel over there in the Warwick Road. Now, Susie, just before that track, I alluded to the fact that we are going to talk a little bit about how the world of work has changed over the last sort of 5, let's say 10 years. But just before we go into that topic, it's not just you at the in the office, is there?
Absolutely not. I mentioned at the beginning that this is a people business, and we are so blessed. And when I say we, that's my business partner Julie Whitehouse, are so blessed to have a great team around us. They are committed, they are professional, and they're dedicated. We are just very, very pleased to have them on board.
Isn't it wonderful when you get a fantastic team?
It is absolutely wonderful. And I think that fact that it actually helps the stability of the organisation. People know who they're going to be dealing with. We get to know the clients, and we create we build relationships, and you can only do that when you've got good people who want to do that.
That's right, and that's all about the team over there in Plum, over in Solihull, and that's one of the elements to your longevity and success.
Yes, when the recession came, there was a huge amount of pressure on the recruitment sector to become what's called a mile deep, inch wide, mile deep, and specialise. But actually we wanted to specialise in being local, which meant that we needed to deal with whether it was a 2-day reception requirement or it was actually replacing the financial director and everything in between. So it's a very different model to what we were being pressurised into, and I'm so pleased that we actually stuck with that, because actually being local is about people, is about the community, is about knowing your marketplace.
That's right. And here at Solihull Radio, we do a lot of thinking about that.
Exactly.
Right, so moving on then. You've got an amazing team, but over the last 5, maybe 8 years or so, definitely since when the recession bit, the world of work has definitely changed, or I'm seeing more of a change.
Yes.
In the olden days, and I'll use that phrase.
Yes.
You finished your education journey, and then you were in an apprenticeship route, and then you learnt your trade, and then you did that.
Yes.
That's not necessarily the case nowadays, is it?
No, it's not. But it's very multi-layered, because you've got at the centre of this, you have people, their expectations, their ambitions, their wants. You've also got organisations which have aims and objectives. And mixed up with that, we've got the impact of technology which is changing, and also legislation. So all of those different elements contribute to the way in which recruitment is changing.
But all of those elements are driven by people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, the large organisations have a focus group and a team of people that come up with the values.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
then they have to find the candidates and the people that fit those particular values. But there's also now, it's not a job for life, for instance,
It's
because
not.
people are beginning to find skills and then move on, and then, you know, and family life has changed as well, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that work-life balance, when we talk to people about what are you looking for, why are you leaving the organisation that you're working for, do you know, I don't think less than 3% have ever said to me, I want more money. It's all about other stuff that's important to them. So work-life balance, going from full-time to part-time, may be one, or location may be another reason that they would want to move.
What about being appreciated?
Oh, absolutely. Being valued is so important. And that's an interesting one, because organisations will always say that they want to have somebody who will blend in with the values of the organisation. However, sometimes they're not perhaps showing the appreciation on a reciprocal basis. And I don't think that's a deliberate thing. It's just that perhaps saying thank you, telling people how good they are is often
exactly.
the forgotten thing.
I mean, it's overlooked.
It is overlooked.
But
it's important to a human.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It is.
And anyone that says differently is keeping it all in, isn't it? Okay, so the geography of your work-life balance and your career journey has changed over the years. You alluded to the development of technology. How do you see that changing, let's say 5-10 years down the line? Where do you put the person in relation to the job market?
Okay, well, there's lots of different things that could come in. I'm going to focus on what I would call the Uberization of work, whereby people are taking more ownership for their own career development and want to have more freedom and want to work with and be exposed to more organisations. So there's different platforms at the moment that people can put themselves on, and an organisation may have a need for a project to be undertaken and will take that person for 3, 6, 12 months or even longer. Contracted, absolutely. And also you have coming through, if you look at the demographics, you've got the millennials who are now coming through, who've got a totally different set of values to their parents and their grandparents, and they're asking more of organisations and demanding more, and they're not expecting a job for life. They want to have something that is fulfilling and also developing people. On the one hand, you've got technology that actually makes everything structured. And on the other hand, you've got people who are doing that who actually want variety. So there's a mismatch there. That's why they want to do lots of varying things, because sometimes the one job actually isn't demanding enough of their skills and their aspirations.
And they might have already come with a different skill set from a previous.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's harnessing that, organisations looking at who do they want to attract, and how are they going to attract. And they've got such a diverse range of people who could work for an organisation, and it's opening up to having part-timers, having people who are, let's say, towards the other end of their career, not on the upward trajectory.
I know what you're saying,
who
Susie.
want to do really good jobs within organisations.
And you alluded again to the way that legislation is changing. Having contracted workers, I know the government are putting different pieces of legislation in place for that. But for the large companies, sometimes it's a great deal easier just to have somebody on a fixed term contract, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because there's other elements that come into play on a permanent role and things like that.
Absolutely, and it's not clear cut. It's not straightforward, and the landscape is changing all the time as far as tax and rights of workers, and that's going to change even more.
Exactly, working time directives and things along those lines. We need to take into consideration.
Yes, IR35.
So your life in 100 days' time is going to change again.
It is going to change, but I think the one guiding principle is that when we started at Plum, we had a visit from the CEO of the Recruitment and Employment Confederation, which is our governing body. And we spoke to him, and it led to us being involved in a journey which has resulted in the Recruitment Charter, which is the principles of best practice of recruitment. And one of the biggest things I've seen change is that it's gone from a transactional to actually a relationship, and it's making helping companies look at their recruitment process, put the people who they're attracting first, and making that candidate journey even better. Because you've got to remember, if you are going through a recruitment process and you're declined by a client, you could be a future customer of that company.
Sure.
And how you were treated is going to have an impact.
Yeah.
And what you say to other people is going to have an impact. So the better we can get at the recruitment process and making it more streamlined, more people-centric, the better it's going to be.
You're leaning against an open door with me, Susie. All of the things you've said I'd like to be associated with. We're coming towards the end of our time here on the BID Show with Susie from Plum Personnel. How do you see the future, just as an aside now, how do you see the future of what's happening in Solihull Town Centre? You've obviously seen it change over the last 17, 18 years or so. Where do you see it going? What's good? What's happening that's positive? What would you like to see more of?
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because at a meeting recently with the West Midlands Combined Authority, and it was sort of a forum, one of the organisations was saying they were coming off one of the business parks to move into Solihull, that people wanted to work in the town centre. They didn't want to be remote in business parks. So that's something that may be a trend for the future. I don't know, but that could be something to be looked at, that more people want to work in Solihull.
We're seeing different outlets opening up now.
Yes, different uses for traditional retail outlets. It could be that they're turned into more office-based, and then it comes with the associated. We have to have a good travel links and transport.
Leisure and recreation.
Leisure and recreation, absolutely. So I think that could be a trend that moves forward.
We're doing all right here, though, aren't we? It's generally positive.
Oh, I'm passionate about Solihull. I think it's the best place to live, work, play, and enjoy. Now, you have been listening. Thank you very much, Susie, by the way. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
I could sit here and chat to you about recruitment for hours.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Susie Ankrit. She is one of the directors from Plum Personnel here in Central Solihull, taking part in the BID Show here in December. You've chosen a couple of songs. We did have 9 to 5. Now, we know that that's changing. Just to finish off with, could you tell us your last choice? Yes, my last choice is Your Song by Elton John. Here it is for you. Thanks very much for joining us. Thank you, Jeff.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. I sat on the roof, kicked out the moss. Well, a few of the verses, well, they've got me quite cross, but the sun's been quite kind while I wrote this song. It's for people like you that keep it turned on. So excuse me for getting, but these things I do, you see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue. Anyway, the thing is, what I really mean, yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody this is the song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're